Mitsubishi Automobile Troubleshooting. If you're looking for help fixing your Mitsubishi automobile, look no further. Our comprehensive Mitsubishi Automobile Troubleshooting Guide will explain common issues, provide tips, and show you how to read your model's error codes. Battery. If your Mitsubishi will not start but click, the problem most likely involves a weak battery that isn't able to turn the starter motor. As a result, electrical consumers may work properly, such as lights, but the car will not start turning the key. Depending on the battery charge level, the starter motor will turn very slowly or crank at all but clicks. If your Mitsubishi won't start but clicks, check the battery. There are several possible causes of a situation like this. The battery itself may be failing and not able to hold a charge. Depending on the outside climate and running conditions, they last between 2 and 5 years. Starter. As obvious as it may seem, a faulty starter motor won't be able to crank and start the engine. Depending on the mode of failure, either the motor won't turn over or a high-pitched sound will be heard when turning the key. A starter motor is an electromechanical component that can fail in several ways. Electrical motors can stop working due to extensive mechanical wear. A mechanism that secures the starter motor to the flywheel can also fail. Sometimes, giving a moderate hit to the starter motor with a hammer can make it work again. However, replacing the starter is the only reliable solution. Spark plugs or ignition coils. If there is an ignition-related issue, such as dirty spark plugs or faulty coils, the engine probably won't start sometimes. Most of the time, this will happen on damp mornings or when it is freezing. Even though there is a strong cranking action when turning the key, the engine will not start. Even if it does, it might still cut out or splutter for several minutes. It is easy to check for spark using an inline spark plug test light. Several additional symptoms are characteristic of ignition issues. One of them is a strong smell of unburnt fuel coming from the exhaust while cranking. Pressing the accelerator pedal helps turn on the engine as well. In most cases, the engine will run fine after it warms up and reaches operating temperature. If your Mitsubishi starts but has several misfire fault codes, the spark plugs may be worn out. Ignition switch. Despite the simplicity and overall reliability, an ignition switch is a crucial component that can cause several issues. In some scenarios, nothing happens when turning the key, and the dashboard will remain black. But unlike with a dead battery, things like the stereo or interior illumination will be working as they should. It is also possible that everything seems fine, but there is no car reaction when turning the key. Inside any ignition switch itself, there is a rotating arm that bridges different electrical circuits. In addition to this task, ignition switches in modern cars have an incorporated anti-theft device. Like any other component, ignition switches can suffer from failures ranging from mechanical wear and breakdowns to corrosion-related issues. Fuel pump. Inside every fuel tank, there is an electrical pump that transfers the gasoline towards the engine. Similar to other components that have moving parts, it can stop working as time goes by. The weather happened because of mechanical wear or electrical breakdown. It will prevent a sufficient fuel flow. The result will be an engine that cranks strong but won't start. Although these symptoms are similar to those of a faulty crankshaft sensor, there are several differences. For a start, there will be no code stored in the vehicle's DTC memory. Also, applying a small amount of starter spray to the intake manifold will start the engine briefly. Source: ukinich.com